it's Presley at ActOutGames.com here, and today we're going to the Denver Museum of Nature and Science to check out their new Sherlock exhibit. So now we're going through the Sherlock exhibit, which I'm really excited about because I just recently started watching the show, and I'm really excited to go through this exhibit as well as some close friends have seen other content. A close friend has listened to some of the audiobooks, and I'm really excited to come and see all this stuff. I don't know what this was. See all this stuff. It's that way. It's that way. That's where the stuff is. It's basically teleported into a actual, more interesting version of Clue. Really. Exactly. I love the game Clue. It's too good. It's a good game. So we're just gonna show you a couple highlights of the exhibit. The whole thing looks really cool and really exciting, but I want you guys to come here and experience it for yourself.
Hey there everyone, my name's James Hagedorn. I'm the curator of the Sherlock Holmes exhibit here at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And this is a pretty fun exhibit, and you might ask, well, what the heck are we doing with Sherlock Holmes here in a Museum of Science and Nature? In my mind, one of the cool things about Sherlock Holmes is he was really, through the novels and his character, the first popularizer of the scientific method. Not just, I solved a crime, but how did you do that? How did you use a database of information to figure out where those blood spatters came from, or the powder? Was it gunpowder, or was it perfume, or was it something else found at the scene that would tell you who did it? And that process of investigative thinking is really the scientific method that we use today, whether you're a geologist or an anthropologist or a biologist or a forensic scientist at a real live CSI today. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen too many crime scenes in my life with like bloods and bodies and crazy things happening, but one of the cool things here at the museum is you can come see a nice dry, relatively sterile crime scene. You can come to exhibits like this and look at, there's someone's spine with a bullet lodged in it. Holy guacamole. I'd never seen one of those before. That looks like it hurt. But right in front of it is a bone that also has a hole in it. And you maybe have heard of famous athletes or other people that have, for example, keeled over and died randomly because they found out they had a heart condition all their lives but never really know it. Well, there's a bone defect, if you will, that was congenital, in other words, from birth. And so thinking going back to the 1800s, how do you figure out if that person died from a congenital defect or from some injury that they received at a crime scene? Well, these are the kind of observations that were made by medical doctors back in the 1800s to figure those things out. We know a lot of that today, but that was happening right at the time that Doyle was writing the Doyle was writing the Sherlock Holmes mysteries. Here's another one right over here. This is a fun one. Here's a spine with a bullet in it, and a stabbing weapon right next to it. And so, here's a person who lived with a bullet lodged in their spine. Wow, really makes me think. A lot of the artifacts in the exhibit here are on loan from other museums, including the Edinburgh College of Medicine, which is where Conan Doyle studied. And let's kind of cruise right over here to this drawing and photograph. This is Joseph Bell right here. You can see them operating on the table right here. Here's Joseph Bell with a cape and a deerstalker hat. And this was the mentor of Conan Doyle, who trained him in asking questions that really led to him thinking constructively about how did that happen? What was the cause of death? Where did that person live? What kind of lifestyle do they have? Learning all those things from a dead body or a footprint or a fingerprint or the like really started right here. And do you see any likenesses to Sherlock Holmes in the photo?
The hat looks similar.
The hat, the jacket. Holy smokes. And guess what his assistant was named?
Watson.
His real life assistant was named Dr. Watson. So where do you think Sherlock Holmes' Dr. Watson came from? Inspired by real people and real events. Think about it. Back in the day, you didn't read on the screen, you didn't read on your iPhone, And you know, when people talk about the Sherlock Holmes books, well, they weren't books. They were magazines. There was some guy in a hat sitting on a corner saying, "Here ye, buy this magazine. Here, buy the latest rag." And it was one of these rags right here that Sherlock Holmes' first stories were published in. They were a series of short stories published. And what's really cool is that some of these are the actual magazines, or papers as they were called, that were sold on the street corners at the time back in Victorian England in the 1890s. Check this out. You come into the exhibit in here, and what do we do with these?
This is the practice room, and you're going to go to each little shop in this underground rail station, and you're going to get a stamp in each of these little boxes.
Wow, and do we get to keep this?
You get to keep this.
And so we're going to go use this, just like your own little detective notebook, to figure out how did scientists back in the day make observations at crime scenes. Let's go do it. Holmes is out of town, but needs to send a message to Watson. Oh wait, he's just going to bust out his iPhone. Oh no, wait, we have to do that somewhere else. We have to go ... dash 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 ... dash 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 dash. We can send a message or a secret message. And what's cool is this exhibit shows you actually how to use Morse code and to send messages to one another. And think about it, back in the day in London, how did you get it from one side of the city to another?
Yeah, the underground, the train, really.
Oh, I hear it.
Yeah, the train is.
So the tube, or the subway, was just coming on board at this time, and it was a filthy, smelly, but very helpful technological and industrial innovation. But you think about it, to get all the way across the city in London, that would take hours of walking in congested streets or taking a horse, but you could send a Morse code message right across the street, right across the city, just like you could send a text message today. So this was the text messaging of the day, and you could get a message to a colleague at a police station about a crime in a moment's notice. Part of the exhibit where we're learning some of the tools of forensic science. And back in the day, they had all sorts of concoctions that they would lather and spritz on their faces and bodies, and sometimes those would give you clues as to where a person was from or what their mode of life was and the like. But sometimes those substances were very idiosyncratic. They only came from one place. They might even have poisons in them, like strychnine or something. And so this is a little sampling of some of the cosmetics that were used back in the day. And these things had lovely stuff in them, like strychnine and arsenic. Arsenic, if you've ever tried to kill a rat, that's a good one. Or nightshade, things that would make you a little loco too. And these were commonly put in cosmetics to lighten one's complexion or to achieve a certain look. Only advancements in chemistry weren't quite where they are today, and so folks didn't know that it's actually toxic. So anyways, come down to the museum and learn a little bit more when you're down here. So, do you have any questions?
Not really. It's just really interesting to see these things that happened, like these crazy things, including things that I have actually referred to as things that I have heard talked about, like don't touch this, that were used in beauty products a long time ago. Although I'm pretty sure there are bugs in some lipsticks.
And you think about it, there's no eBay, there's no Amazon, and so the ingredients in beauty products then had to come from nearby. And so if you could identify the beauty products on someone, you could almost tell where they were near in life, right? They didn't get it from Taiwan or from South Africa or New York if they were in London. They got it from nearby. So those ingredients and the locations in which they were mined or made actually were another clue on the crime scene. So it was really kind of early local chemistry plus geology. These kind of murky looking arches, and this is the feel of the London Underground, minus the really loud noise and the stench of the smoke from those coal-powered or steam-powered trains. So you're going back in time as we go deeper and deeper into the exhibit into Victorian London. Could you help me from that? I'm a bit lost.
Certainly, sir. What can I do for you?
Where are we right now?
We are in the chambers of Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson.
Oh, fantastic.
Their address 221B Baker Street. It's quite the famous address. You've seen it, I'm sure.
Oh my, everyone has, yes. The thing is, it's very hard to find.
Well, it is a little hard to find, that's true. But you know, Mr. Holmes likes to keep his affairs private.
I quite imagine so.
And I enjoy a quiet day here from time to time as well. I'm actually looking for the great detective right now, but he's nowhere nowhere to be found. It's a terrible, terrible mystery out of Richmond this morning, and I myself am thoroughly stumped.
Really? Well, do you need any help with that?
Well, certainly I need as many eyes on the case as I can possibly get.
You've got good eyes, don't you? Would you
Well,
like
may
to
I
help?
test some of those eyes? Are you familiar with Sherlock Holmes' adventures? Let's see if you can find some things that were mentioned in the stories, shall we? I want you to look about in this room and find a hat, but not just any hat. This hat is going to be old and tattered. It's going to be dusty, and it's going to have little drops of wax on the brim. Do you think you can find a hat meeting that description?
These hats up there, they look fairly new.
They look fairly new. What about these hats over here?
Drips of wax, you say?
Yes.
Why would one have wax on one's hat?
That's an excellent question. When we find the hat, we can talk all about it.
Well, I don't
see any
see
drips?
any wax here. Maybe,
But there's a hat over there. Let's try this one. Oh, this hat. Is it tattered, dusty, and have bits of wax on the brim?
indeed it
Is that the hat?
It looks like it.
Yes. This is Mr. Baker's hat. This is from The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. Are you familiar with that story? That's all right, that's all right. Mr. Holmes uses this hat to talk about the powers of observation. What can you tell about Mr. Baker just by looking at his hat?
It seems that there would be candles somewhat near. There would be candles or something made out of wax that was dripping nearby.
That's right, so we know that he uses candles in his house. He doesn't have the gas in his house.
He's had the hat for a while.
He's had it for a long time. He certainly needs a new one.
at the edge of that. That's been well used. I think he might be left-handed. If it's always worn on the left. Oh, no, it's worn on the right.
Maybe he's ambidextrous.
Maybe. Or maybe he pulls his hat off with both hands.
Perhaps he does, perhaps.
Right?
What else? Is it a dusty hat or is it a clean hat? Now, from the story, we know that there is a Mrs. Baker, and it would be her job to clean Mr. Baker's hat. Do you think that Mr. and Mrs. Baker are very happily married?
If she was not attending to her duty of cleaning the hat.
Yeah. Or could she be dead?
He could be dead.
So that would be a little strange, since he was also bringing her home a goose, and it said for Mrs. Baker.
Uh-huh.
You can tell a lot about a person just by looking at them. For example, what can you tell about me just by looking at me?
You like penguins.
Well, I do wear spatters. Very well spotted.
It's quite well dressed.
Yes, so what do you think that means?
You're obviously in a position that is very wealthy, and the stuff and the clothing is fairly new.
Very, very good.
And clean. You're not at all dusty.
That's right.
Yes.
But am I married? That's right, so I'm
But
not married.
let's check the other because... And you're not married to a German either, so...
No, not married. Can you tell which hand I use for writing? What hand do I write with?
It would seem that it would be on this side, as everything that you would need to touch is on this side.
Yes, very good, right? Very good. That's my dominant hand. Very good. So you have excellent powers of observation. Do you want to help me with a little mystery?
I would like to.
Well, then let's step right over here to the scene of the crime. This is the scene of a very terrible, terrible business. This is the house of the Persano family, an American family, I'm told. Never met the gentleman before this morning. But they say that this man, Mr. Isidoro Persano, was doing an experiment with a strange seed pod. Do you know what I mean when I say seed pod?
It's like the pods that drop from trees usually with seeds.
This is a very small one in this case. You see that little burned thing on the desk? See that right there? That's where the seed pod is. You can get a good look at it if you go around that way. But he's a botanist, so he is a scientist that works with plants. And they say that he was doing an experiment with the pod and he burned it. And the pod contained some terrible hallucinogenic poison. And when he breathed in the smoke, the poison drove him out of his mind. And while he was in his madness, He murdered his wife and child, dragged their bodies down to the river before returning to the house and attempting to commit suicide. He also did other strange actions, like he burned his botanical journals in the fireplace. Do you see them right there? The police say that the bullet hit that statue of Napoleon, knocking it off the table before hitting the wall after hitting a person, which is why there's blood there next to the bullet hole. And the police say that these markings right here were created by a body being dragged down to the sand. Now, it's a very reasonable story, all on the surface. But there is nothing more devious than an obvious fact. But before we start forming our theories, we want to collect as much evidence as possible. Remember what Mr. Sherlock Holmes says. Never form your theories until you have your facts. Otherwise, you twist your facts around to suit your theories instead of your theories around to suit your facts.
Come here and make your own observations and interpretations. I'm excited to do one with some blood in a moment. No. But it's too bad we don't have time today, so maybe you'll have to come on your own and give that a whirl.
So if you're in the Denver area, then definitely do check out the amazing Sherlock exhibit. It's a lot of fun, and it's open through January 31st. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!